It's a good day, and I know you're excited to have this class here with us as we're dealing with fractions and decimals today. I'm Uncle Ed, and I hope you have your calculator on ground. Let's take a ride and have fun. Okay, so we're looking at fractions and decimals. Supposing your daddy gives you a cake and asks you to share between you and your brother. So you have to divide it into two equal parts. One of the parts belongs to your brother, and the other half belongs to you. So we can say half plus a half cake, which is yours and your brother's, combined will give you one cake. So this is how we get fractions. So if we put that in fraction form, we have 1 over 2 cake plus 1 over 2 cake, which gives us 1 cake. So this is the foundation for fractions. So using fractions in sharing, 1 over 3 of 60 oranges were shared. Find the number of oranges shared. Remember, 1 over 3 of 60 means 1 over 3 times 60. So we simply replace off with multiplication sign. And when we do the math, we have 20 oranges. Find the number of nuts shared if 1 over 5 of 65 nuts are shared. Quite simple. 1 over 5 of 65 means 1 over 5 times 65 over 1, which gives us 13 nuts. So you can see this is quite simple. The third question says, find the fraction shared if 25 out of 64 eggs were shared. I know you love eggs. So we have 24 over 64 reduced to the simplest form. How do we reduce that? By simply multiplying 24 and 64 by their HCF. And the HCF is 8. So when we divide 24 and 64 by the HCF, we have 3 over 8. So that's the lowest form of that fraction. If 1 over 4 of 52 apples are shared, how many are left? 1 over 4 of 52 means 1 over 4 times 52, and this gives us 13 apples. Number of apples left therefore becomes 52 minus 13, which is 39 apples. So you can see 1 over 4, 13 apples were shared, leaving 39 apples. Our next applications of fractions, ordering fractions. Suppose we are given several fractions and asked to rearrange them in order to know which is bigger or smaller. How do we know? How do we go about that? Which is bigger, 3 over 5 or 1 over 2? First of all, we need to multiply and know the LCM of 5 and 2. How do we do this? We can either multiply or use the normal process of finding LCM. And here we have 10. Multiply 3 over 5 by 10 gives us 6. Multiplying 1 over 2 times 10 gives us 5. So we can see already that 6 is bigger than 5, and 6 represents 3 over 5. So we can say 3 over 5 is greater than 1 over 2. Which is smaller, 5 over 9 or 8 over 5? Same process applies. Find the LCM of 9 and 15, which is 45. Multiplying each fraction by 45. 5 over 9 times 45 gives 25. 8 over 15 times 45 gives 24. You can see 24, which represents 8 over 15, is smaller than 5 over 9. Alright, in ascending order, when we arrange in ascending order, we mean that we start from the smallest of the least of fractions to the biggest. So we have these fractions to arrange in ascending order. We have 2 over 5, 4 over 15, 2 over 3, and 1 over 2. So we have to find the LCM first for 5, 15, 3, and 2, and that gives us 30. Same process applies. We multiply each fraction by the LCM. And the first one gives us 12, the second one gives us 30, the second gives us 8, the third gives us 20, and the fourth gives us 15. So we can arrange that and say 4/15 is the smallest, which represents 8, and 2/3 is the largest of the fractions, which represents 20. So you can see how easy this is. Also note that to arrange in descending order means we start from the largest to the smallest. That is the reverse of this. How do we change fractions to decimals? So we have 1/5. I'm going to convert that to a fraction. I have to make sure the denominator, which is 5, is 10 for easy conversion. So I have multiplied both the numerator and the denominator by 2, and that gives us 2/10. 2/10 can be simply written as 0.2 because we can move the points easily. So that applies for the other examples as you have seen. If we have to change 4.3 to a fraction, it is the reverse of what we just solved in the previous examples. 4.3 can be written as 4 plus 0.3, and 0.3 is written as 3/10. It means the same thing. It's all about moving the points. So 4 plus 3/10 gives us 4 whole number 3/10. That applies to the next example as shown below. And let's look at a few quantitative reasoning on fractions. We have one whole number 1/2 and 5/2, and we have to use the less than sign. How do we know which to use? We know that one whole number 1/2 is the same thing as 3/2, so we have 3/2 and 5/2. Yes. Which of them is smaller? We know that 3/2 is smaller because both of them have the same denominators. So since 3 is smaller, we use the less than sign because 3/2 is less than 5/2. Next one says 8/15 and 4/9, which is greater. First of all, find the LCM of 15 and 9. Multiply each fraction by the LCM. The first one gives us 24 and the second gives us 20. So you can see 24, which represents 8/15, is greater. Hence we use the greater than sign. Okay, so here are a few examples for you to try out. Today, we're excited to have this class here.